Thank you for joining us today at Miniature Wargaming Labs. Today we're going to paint Commissioner Gordon from the 3rd edition Batman Miniature Games box set sold by Knights Models, and we're going to get this guy tabletop ready. Came together in same day, so I painted them all in one day. Now let's talk about the paints I used. So for the primer I used standard Mechanicus gray. And then for paints, let's start with the P3. I used Umbral Umber, Blood Tracker Brown, Trollblood Highlight, Rucksack Tan, and Frostbite. Then I used Army Painter Shining Silver, Matte Black, Mummy Robes, Dark Stone, Ash Gray, and Barbarian Flesh. And I also used some Vallejo Glossy Black. That's for his shoes. Man, he is just getting out of focus. I have horrible lighting here. Glossy Black, then I used Citadel's Nuln Oil, and Mephiston Red. So, let's go ahead and get this guy painted, if we can get him into focus. There we go, and that's better. Alright, good to go. Alright, let's get started. Now I've primed my Commissioner Gordon standard Mechanicus gray, and the first color I'm going to apply is Mephiston Red. So where'd I put my brush? There it is. And what I want to paint is the brick wall. So this is supposed to match some other terrain I've painted. So I've painted some MCB buildings in Mephiston Red because comes in a spray can, primer can. So I want this wall to match my other buildings. So, real simple job. We'll just alright, get this wrapped around. Now, so the reason I painted this wall first, and missed a little spot right there, is because I'm going to paint inside out. So the hardest to reach areas I'm going to paint first, and then move to easier to reach areas. Okay, and that way I can be more and more careful as I move out on the model. So one of the areas that's going to be hard to reach is the inside of this shirt. So he's got his overcoat, a vest, and he has a shirt right there. I want to do that white. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to use some P3 Frostbite. We're going to do his shirt and his hair, because he's going to have gray hair. We're going to go for the older Commissioner Gordon. So I want my super fine brush. Let's see, we've got the tie in there. I'm just going to shove the bristles down. Not much to the shirt as it is. But you can see some portions of it. And this is, you imagine if we painted the jacket first and tried to work on the shirt, probably ending up having to touch up the jacket anyway. Might as well just get the shirt out of the way. So there. Now I want to move to the hair. I like the Frostbite to paint as a base because it's got a slight hint of blue, slight hint of gray, and it just has a good coverage. Next up I'm going to use some P3 Umbral Umber. There's some type of bag back here. I don't know exactly what it is. I'll go ahead and just paint it dark. I don't know if it's like his lunch bag or garbage. I didn't know if it was debris falling from the wall, but I'll just paint it a dark color and be on its way. Now we're going to take some P3 Blood Tracker Brown, and what I'm going to do is I want his vest to be a dark brown color. I think the art that Night Models has on the website shows this to be like a dark gray vest and trousers. I'm going more with the animated series, where he's obviously got like a camel hair trench coat. And so this is the part I want to check around and make sure I know where the vest ends and the shirt begins. So I can tip it here. Looks like we don't see the vest up around the collar. Looks like the vest goes underneath the jacket. So the trick will just be getting the tie later. Now as we progress down here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some P3 Rucksack Tan, and I am going to paint his trench coat. Like I said, I was going more for the animated series. Now you notice the trick will be how much do we go behind the jacket to the wall. So we're going to use our fine brush here. We're going to run this line top, and we'll just get as much as we can see without touching that red. But if we did, no one's really looking behind the model. Alright, so next we're going to do is some P3 Trollblood Highlight. We're going to paint this coffee cup that's set down next to the commissioner. Don't touch bricks with the color. Don't have to do any touch up there. Now I'm going to use some matte black. What I want to do is I want to get the top of the cup here, because normally when I go get coffee to go, there's a black lid on top of it. You can see that the resin's kind of a little wonky there, so we want black just to kind of cover that up, and we'll give it a slight rim. That's a nice careful job there. Okay, now the next, we're going to do 2 more spots. Now is when I'm going to work extra careful. Try to get in at that tie. So we have the knot. Looks like a half Windsor. And then just going to run this along bridge of it. We're going to do his glasses. And just run tip of the brush along the edge here and try to touch that up. It's tough to show with the camera, but I'm doing black glasses. Now we're going to finish up the rest of the suit. So I'm going to use some Army Painter Dark Stone. So this is like a gray, but you can tell it's gray mixed with the brown, so it'll complement the mole hair trench coat and the brown vest. Now, something I should point out is you can see sculpted in here that he's, as appropriate, is wearing a jacket underneath his trench. So we'll get that there. So you can see 2 parts of the jacket. See this sculpted piece here. We'll just let the brush glide down that. And then you just let the brush glide where sculpting of the pants touches the trench coat. Now I've got some Army Painter Ash Gray, and I'm going to do the concrete topper on top of the brick wall. Get some on my palette. So this will go on quickly. Now the only issue would be cutting it just right so I don't get it on the jacket. So I know I got some of the what color did I use? Rucksack Tan on the wall, so I want to just make sure to clean up that part but not get it on the jacket in return. So as we move along, get more and more refined in our brush strokes. Now, one of my thoughts was actually to paint this as a cinder block wall so I could highlight the bullet holes in there, but I'll let the wash do that. And when doing some of this stuff, use different colors if you'd like. If you've ever gone through Brooklyn or Queens, you see vastly different colors of bricks, even on the same block. Now what we're going to do is add some liquid talent. So I'm going to take some Nuln Oil here, almost out on this bottle. I go through it quite a bit. And I'm going to take a brush that I've messed up in the past, wet the bristles a little bit, and we'll just hit some Nuln Oil in here. Still light coat. So we'll get this good soaking. Trick is getting behind here. Make sure there's no like dry pockets formed. Alright. Now we're going to let this dry for a little while. And where I really want to put a lot of it is here on the base. I like to get these stones nice and dark. Alright, so we'll let that dry for a while. I tend to do this as my last step before I go to bed. It's nice and good when I get up in the morning. I gotta stop messing around with this. I'll just keep going around, soaking it till you get it to taste. I do a lot of my stuff very grim dark. That's what I like about the Batman over. Alright, so I'll let that dry and we'll come back later. I'm going to work on his skin tone, so I'm going to use some Army Painter Barbarian Flesh. I've already put some in my palette here. And this is pretty simple. Just do the hands. He's holding a lighter. Don't worry about hitting the lighter. Do that with some gold later. I just want to be careful and not hit the jacket or the cuffs. We also, on his face, we have his glasses we just cut in, and his mustache and the cigarette, so the face will be the tricky part. So I need a sharp brush, a little patience. Now what we're going to do is take some Army Painter Shining Silver, and as I mentioned before, he's got a tiny little lighter. We're just going to touch the case and the wick. Tough to see here, but just what we can, we'll hit there. Just give him something reflective. Now I'm going to take some Reikland Fleshshade. This will go over the skin. Just a tiny little bit will do. So I'm going to use my sharp brush and just let it settle over. So you got the hands, and we have the face. Actually looking really good. There we go, then we'll let that dry. Now I'm going to take advantage of that need to let that Reikland Fleshshade dry, and I'm going to use some Vallejo Glossy Black, and I'm going to put that in two spots. One for his highly polished shoes, to make it stand out from the other black and dark materials I have on the model. So good. There we go. Now think about it, he's got his foot on it, so it must be a pile of trash behind him. Okay, so I painted that black, which you probably can barely see. Now I want to paint the rim of his base. So I'm going to take a old Citadel dry brush. I'm going to get it nice and wet, and I'm just going to candy coat it, so a nice thick coat. Now I'm going to let this dry a little while. Since I put it on nice and thick to get that kind of glossy coating I want, it takes a while to dry. But while we're waiting for that, let's do some other things here. So I took some Army Painter Mummy's robes, which I actually find a very good coloring, off-white. What we're going to do is we're going to take, alright, let's get enough in here. So let me dip it in here, spin it. And what we'll do is just a touch of white. And it helps since it's a glossy black. You can actually use your light source to point out where the light would actually reflect. So just a couple of places on the shoes here. And then I also want to do it on some of the strands of hair at the very top. There we go. Just get a touch of that cigarette there. Now while we're at it, we'll grab some more Mephiston Red. That'll make it look like he's got an ember going on that cigarette. So just put a little red there, flat side of the tip of the brush. There. A little touch of red. And so let's give him a spin. I think we might actually be good here. Got him tabletop ready. So let's get a good look at this guy. Alright. Well, he's all painted, nice and tight. Steady on track. Excellent. Well, thank you for joining us at Miniature Wargaming Labs. And we'll see you next time.